Welcome to Backstage with Becca with special guest Amelia Fei. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca. On this episode, this Taiwan native moved to New York to study at AMDA in 2015 and has since made her Broadway debut in How to Dance in Ohio, where she originated the role of Caroline. Please welcome Amelia Fei. First of all, how's life? How are you doing?
Pretty good. I got so sick immediately after we closed, and to be fair, I always get sick when I finish a contract, but this time it was just so bad, and I had no voice for like 5 days, and and I also just moved. My official move-in date was our last week of show,
Oh my
so
God.
it was just so bad. But in a way, I was so stressed and I was so sick, so tired. But in a way, I needed to focus on that and getting better. So I didn't really have the energy to feel depressed and sad. And so everything worked out in the best way possible. And now I'm good.
I was gonna say it was kind of like timing wise was like, okay, your immune system was like, we're gonna wait until after the show closes so that you don't have to miss a show.
It's always
And
like that. I feel like maybe like it's an adrenaline thing, but I like a lot of people in our show got really sick after we closed because we were just like go 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 since
right.
October, and so yeah, it's bound to happen.
It's definitely stress too, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my
Like
God.
you can't be stressed and not have your immune system crash.
Mhm.
So I want to get into theater. Have you always known that you wanted to perform on stage and be a theater performer? When did you like realize?
I think I I don't know. I don't remember when I knew I want to be an actor per se, but I always knew it will be like theater would be something that I do for a living, whether it's like on stage, backstage. I just knew I will have some kind of involvement in theater. I grew up in Taiwan, and it's not a place where theater is super accessible. And I want to say, growing up, no one knew, and still, I sadly, a lot of people, my family members, still don't know what I do. Like, we don't know what musical theater is, and so I just like didn't have access. I know it was
They're
so
missing out.
very devastating. But I kind of just like stumbled upon the genre in a way when I was like, I want to say 10. And then because being autistic, I always had a hard time identifying my emotions or expressing how I feel. And so when I saw musical theater, I was like, oh my God, like when words fail, you have music, and when that fails too, there's like movement. Like people, it just seems so easy for people on stage to make connections and communicate with one another. And obviously there's a script, so of course they already know what's coming, but even like just the nature of musical theater was just seems so magical to me for my autistic child brain. So I just knew I want to be a part of that in some ways, but like I didn't know being an actor was an option for me because again, like in Taiwan, we don't have that. And so I always jokingly say, "Oh, I'm gonna play a tree on Broadway." Like I don't know, and but it was just like joke because New York is so far, and obviously Broadway is Broadway, and um but yeah, and then I moved to New York in 2015, and to because if you want to do anything musical related, this is
That's
the
the place.
place to be. And yeah, and then I got really lucky and I started auditioning, working, and then I was on Broadway. It's really cool.
Yeah. The stars aligned. And also, I feel like I went down a YouTube hole last night of all the videos you have posted on your channel.
Oh no.
And you like send your family in Taiwan those videos and be like, this is what I do because your voice is stunning.
Oh, thank you. I don't even remember what's up there anymore. Oh my God.
There's like
Um,
a Hades Town cover, and I was like, okay, yes,
oh
slay,
no.
Eurydice, okay.
Thank you, thank you. My parents did come to see How to Dance on Ohio, which makes me really happy.
Yeah, I mean, they probably were just so proud.
They're really happy. I hope they're proud.
Broadway.
Like yeah, Asians parents don't really express that, but I know they're proud for sure. I feel a little bad I because in Taiwan, and that's the interesting part too. In Taiwan, if we do have like an international touring company coming, it will be in a venue with like screens, and they will put subtitles because it's a
Yeah,
foreign language. And I think they're not used to not having that because they don't really speak English. So, and I try my best to translate the whole show for them, but obviously there's some stuff that I just can't. And but they only pay attention to the part where I wasn't. So I think it all worked out fine.
I mean, I think that's a big chunk of the show.
Yeah,
Like, to be honest, it's a huge chunk of the show.
that is
So
true. I think they're okay. I think they
they
had a good time.
they took away a message at the end.
Yes.
So when did you know that you were like ready to move to New York? Because that's a huge step. And I'm also on the spectrum. So
Really?
I after college, or after community college, I decided at like 22, I was finally ready to move.
I I don't know. I think it's more of a I had to rather than if I was ready. It was such an impulsive decision on my part, and I try to like I persuaded my family members and in a way that like if I don't go, I'm gonna die. That kind of because I just feel like like in it's like when you have this, this is your calling, and you live in a place where nobody understands you, and you live in a place where this is your special interest, but no one gets it and no one can talk to you about it because nobody knows what it is, and you're just like I
Killing
have
me.
to leave. Yeah, and so I don't know. I kind of did everything I could to make to reassure my parents that even if this doesn't work out, I have a degree in some in other stuff, and I have the skill sets to be able to take care of myself, even if I can't work like full time as an actor. And then that's finally, if anything, I think I didn't know if I wasn't ready or was ready. It's more like I need to
I'm
convince
going.
my family that I can do this. But my first month in New York was so tough because then I realized, oh, maybe I wasn't ready for this. And I lost so much weight. I think the first month I lost 20 pounds, and I lost so much hair because it was just like
Stressful.
cultural shock
Mm.
and language barrier. And it's New York. It's like, yes, the greatest city in the world, but it's such a beast. It's everything is overstimulating, overwhelming, and so many people. And yeah,
It's
it was just
crowded.
a lot. But then I don't know. I don't know if I answer your question, but I feel like I just jump into this craziness without really like thinking too much about it because it was just like a calling.
You're like, this is my dream and I'm going after it
Yeah,
and I'm gonna work to accomplish it.
yeah.
And nothing's gonna hold me back.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course I'm like, oh, I'm stupid. Why did I do this? And then I cry a lot.
I mean, I think you're smart because again, those YouTube videos, people need to look them up. I'm gonna put a link below if
Oh
that's
God.
okay. But like people need to look them up because though like seriously, I was like, okay, she's gonna be in so much in the near future.
I
Like,
hope so. Thank you so much.
you're gonna be one of those names on Broadway that everyone is like, when is she doing another show? Because I want to see her in it.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
No, it's true. So I saw you went to AMDA.
I did, yeah.
How did you choose to go study there? And what lesson did you take away that was most valuable that's like helped you with
Yeah.
tackling?
That kind of like ties into the whole like I need to go to New York thing. Because I uh for some like miraculous reason way I found a voice teacher in Taiwan because I again nobody knew what a voice teacher was. Nobody knew what's musical theater. But I found a voice teacher who actually knew what musical theater is, and she went to AMDA, and she's the one who said, "Hey, I think we have enough interest," and by enough interest, she meant like 20 people like oh that who want to learn more about musical, let me actually like make this happen. So she called some teachers at AMDA in New York to fly over and did like a seminar for like I want to say 2 weeks in Taiwan. And then afterwards they said, "Oh, we're here. Might as well hold an audition and see if people want to come." And then they did, and it was so crazy because I think that was one of the first auditions they held internationally and also in Asia. And we had people from the Philippines flying to Taiwan
To
to
audition.
audition,
Yeah.
and then I auditioned for fun because I thought I would never. I didn't go to a theater school. My bachelor is not in theater, so I was just like, and then
Why not?
I got it. And then so I was just okay, if I needed a sign, this is my sign. I need to make this happen. And then so I started AMDA in 2015, and that's why I moved to New York in the first place. Um, and yeah, I learned it was such an intense program, as you probably know.
Oh yeah.
I saw that you interviewed Adante, who also went to AMDA.
Yes, that
Uh,
I mean, I feel like there's a ton of people who have gone to AMDA, and we also have one in Los Angeles.
mm,
So next to
yes,
Pantage.
I've never been to that campus. I've been told it's very pretty. But yeah, I think I learned to always be prepared going to like any rooms, whether it's for like auditioning or for rehearsal. I like it became a habit for me, and I love researching anyway, so that worked out for me. Just like oh, before going to an audition, like look up everyone who's going to be at
Yeah.
table, and even when you book the show still like research everything you need to know about the team, about the show, and know what the expectation is. And because I don't like to come in surprised or unprepared, and it just maybe it's being autistic, but also
But also
like
it gives it like I feel like that's very anxiety inducing to like
yeah,
walk in and be like, oh wait, this person is here and I'm like a fan of this person maybe and I didn't know this person was gonna be here. Wait, what is talking?
yeah, exactly. So that, and yeah, I think AMDA focus a lot on yeah, I don't know how other school did it. Maybe all acting program is the same way, but they focus a lot on how to like analyze a script, how to study your character, how to read between the lines, and it all like tickles my autistic brain a lot because I just find that so fascinating. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from AMDA.
Yes, yes. Are you good at memorizing stuff that you're like really passionate about?
Yes.
Y-
But I'm sadly not one of those because I also know a lot of autistic actor who once they memorize something, it would just stay with them forever. And in some cases, some
y-
materials I will remember forever, but I'm also very good at memorize it and then erase it. So I have more storage for new stuff.
Hey, that's kind of a good talent though, because I know that like act like over a course of a acting career, you're doing a lot of different shows. So there's if you have that talent, there's not like a crossover in your head of multiple shows.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, I guess. But I also want to just like I want it to be I want those information to be in my brain forever because I think it's such a cool flex that I can just recite a show at a party or something.
I mean, yes, yes, wicked for me always.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't have the talent to be on stage, but can recite the shows that I love. Um, so what was a show pre you auditioning for How to Dance in Ohio that you saw, like maybe in New York, that really inspired you and made you want to work as hard as you could to get on a Broadway stage?
Um, this is such a basic answer, but the musical that made me want to do musical for a living was Phantom of the Opera. Just because, and again, I still love the show, but I think there's so many like other cool shows out there. And my favorite has been changing constantly, but that one is the one that toured Asia the most, and and that's why I think it's more well known and loved by uh like Asian fans in general
Yes.
because it's Phantom. And yeah, I was just so blown away when I saw it in Taiwan, and then I saw it again in London, and then I saw it again in New York. And it's funny, I ended up becoming usher at Majestic, and then so I saw
Oh
it
my
like
God.
6,000 more times. And I never got sick of it. I just love that show so much. It's so magical.
It's so intriguing, honestly. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't know what to expect. Like I know this is a famous show, but you can't look away.
No, it's just like what's not to love is there's romance, there's gothic, and there's a boat, and there's a chandelier, and the guy come out from a mirror. Like, whoa, it's so everything is so cool. And this is actually a really fun story that I don't think a lot of people were aware of, but I was when I was an usher at Majestic and Hal Prince sadly passed away, I was called in to take a shift that day because they're holding like a
Oh,
private memorial at the theater, and everyone was there. Bernadette Peters, Stephen Sondheim, I think Angelo Weber was there
legend.
too. Jason Robert Brown was. It's just everyone that you know in the Broadway world, like all the Broadway royalties were there, and also P3 production. My producer of How to Dance in Ohio was also there. I
Oh
had
my
no idea who
God.
they were, and they were like because my one of the producers Ben Holtzman, Hal Prince was his mentor, and Hal Prince was supposed to direct How to Dance in Ohio, and he sadly passed away before. He already signed up for it, and I think they did a workshop with him already, and he was supposed to be the director. And if you look at the set design, you will see HP on the in the back, and that's for Hal Prince because he was supposed to be the director. And it's crazy. And then he was like they were making a speech, and they Ben was the one who produced the memorial concert, obviously because Hal
Gosh.
Prince. And he was saying like, oh, we want to introduce all to the last project he worked on before he sadly passed away. And then he invited Rebecca Greer and Jacob Yandora, the writers of Ohio, on
Oh
stage,
my
and they did
God.
How to Dance Ohio. And I was just there like listening, and I was like, oh, this sounds like a cool project. But I like didn't think much about it because I was just an usher there. I had no idea what's going on. And the director of Ohio, Sammy Cannell, was also in the audience, and she like after the memorial she approached them and say, hey, I think I should be the one who direct this, and she like put her name in. So it all happened in that memorial,
At the
and it was
Majestic.
all in the same building, but we had no idea where we will all end up to like working together It's just really, really magical. So Phantom made everything happen.
Wow. Oh my God, that's iconic. That's such a cool
It's really
story,
cool.
honestly. So you're just like listening to this conversation, like, oh, that sounds like a good show. I'll probably go see it a couple times.
Yeah, I was just like listen, like, oh, this is this, because this sounds nothing like what he would usually direct, because he likes like mega musical, like big stuff.
Yeah.
And then I later learned that his granddaughter is also autistic, and that's why he wanted to be involved in the show. But like I was just like, oh, this is cool, this sounds very different from what he would like, and I'm surprised that he wanted to direct this. Sad that he didn't do it, but it sounds cool. And then COVID happened, and then so I just like stopped thinking about this. And then yeah, I didn't think about the show. I didn't realize this connection until I want to say last year, when I was at Jacob's house and he was telling me about the memorial, and I was like, wait, I was there. Oh my God, I remember it now. And I had goosebumps. It's really, really
That's
cool.
insane. That's the coolest story. That I mean, I feel like it was kind of a meant to be story.
Yeah, in a way, it's so magical. And yeah, and there, I don't know if you remember in the last scene of Ohio, we lifted the disco ball, and that was to pay tribute to Hal Prince because they're lifting the chandelier.
Oh, that okay, that the connections are like I'm connecting all the dots right now and it's so fun in my head.
It's really cool.
It's um I love learning fun facts. So
Me
thank you
too.
for that. That's a good segue to get into how did you get involved with How to Dance in Ohio?
I auditioned. I moved back to Taiwan a little bit during the lockdown because there's no job and
Yeah.
I couldn't pay my rent, so I needed to go. And then I moved back to the state, but instead of New York, I went to Texas because my dad got a new job, and his
Oh,
boss is like, can you go to Texas a little bit? And then he said, can I bring my daughter with me because I don't speak English? And he's like, sure. So I lived in Texas for a little bit, but I like we didn't Broadway was still not open yet, and I had no idea if I could keep pursuing my dreams because the world just seemed like it's ending.
right.
Um, so when I saw the casting call on Jacob's Instagram, and they were looking for autistic people to play autistic character. Um, and this was in 2021. And so I was just, oh, this seems cool. This is probably a small reading. And I missed New York so much. So this could be a good excuse for me to like visit my old home that I love so much. But also, I probably won't book it's whatever. But just the idea of me submitting to the project, if anything, it's less about booking it. It's more about empowering myself, if you will, because I like prior to the project, I never voluntarily tell anyone that I'm autistic because you know
You
there's stigmas,
yep.
and I'm already I'm Asian, I'm a woman, I'm a foreigner. There are already so many things that's like stacked against me when it comes to getting a job. I don't find any reason to having people to like
Like
look
no.
at me having a stereotype of whatever. So I just didn't do it, but I really wanted to. And then so I submitted to it thinking like, okay, this is for Amelia. This is just for me being like, oh, this is me coming out in the world, even though it's just a submission that maybe nobody will ever see the video or whatever. Um, and yeah, and then I did a final callback uh, on Zoom, where when we were in the holding room, I told our casting director Micah that, hey, I don't think I should audition. I'm really scared. I don't know if I should do this. And she's the one who said, hey, I respect your decision, but you should really audition for it and you're fine. And this was like the final callback. I'm already on the Zoom call, but I was like
Nervous,
getting second thought. Yeah,
understandably.
because it is scary. I like the not only telling people that I'm autistic, I'm telling the industry I'm autistic, I'm telling the world that obviously none of us knew this was gonna be on Broadway, but it's still scary to have that information out there.
I
Um,
mean, it's like a huge step, I feel like, to
yeah,
put it out
it
there. It's a
really,
huge step for just like yourself.
yeah, yeah, and especially when you grow up in an environment where you are never encouraged to talk about it as if it's a bad thing, and you are never encouraged to read, like, study about it or learn more information about a huge part of you. And so I just went in with a lot of fear, and but I'm so glad I did. Like, not only my dream came true, but also I now know so much more about myself compared to me 2021. I know so much more about autism, and I have a new community I can like lean on to. And yeah, it's great. Really
I'm
happy.
I'm really glad you mentioned like all the stigma and stuff because I feel like I definitely needed to hear all that. But also someone out there, multiple people out there in the world need to hear all that and need to hear that hey, there is no shame in telling people who you are and
Yeah,
being who you are. If people judge that, then like screw them.
exactly. Yeah, that is so true. I think it's not, and obviously I understand because we don't live in a perfect world. There's always going to be stigma, and hopefully less and less now people start to talk about autism and disability in general more. But as of now, the world is not perfect, and it's not going to go away in a short period of time. But who you are you have, like, there's nothing wrong with who you are as a person. And then if anything, it's the world. And
Yes.
we can't fault ignorance. But yeah, I don't know, like I think if people, if more people are willing to talk about it, that will go away faster. And then if people can approach things that they don't understand with a more open mind, the world will just be a better place. Yeah.
I was gonna say people are scared of what they don't understand.
Exactly, exactly. And I think, like, from the get-go, we all had, like, all seven of us had an understanding that this is bigger than us. This is not just our Broadway show. This is so much bigger than that. This is beyond. This is such a huge step for our community. But it didn't really hit us until we met the fans at the stage door, and just the fact that people, like, because we're strangers, right? Like, they don't know us, but the fact that they're
Most of them.
so, yeah, they're empowered, and they're like, they have the courage to just be like, hey, I'm autistic too, is mind blowing. I couldn't do that growing up. I couldn't do that when I was an adult for years. And the fact that after seeing the show, people can just do that is so amazing. And yeah, it just reminded us why we did what we did, and like why more shows like Ohio, more on like mainstream media needs to exist, because people need it.
It matters. The story matters to people. And
Yeah.
I love how like going into it I had heard that you will see like yourself in each of the characters, but I was like, okay, I don't know how that's possible. There's seven characters, but I truly like saw a little bit of myself in all of the characters on that stage, which was really awesome. And I'm sure everyone else who came to that show saw as well.
Yeah, because autism is such a broad spectrum. And I think, yeah, I also see myself in all seven characters.
Yeah,
I
there's
definitely have,
like
yeah,
little bits, which is really
yeah, for
cool.
sure, for sure. Yeah, if people ask me to like pick like, oh, who are you like the most? I don't like obviously I originated Caroline, but I think like I see a lot of like me and Drew. I also see a lot like me and Mel, and then sometimes I'm like Meredith. So, you know.
I mean, I feel like, okay, so you played Caroline in the show, and she's like, I feel like you get the sense of who Caroline is the second she comes on stage in her like rainbow outfit. It's so precious. And I'm like that, like she just exudes, you exude happiness the entire
Oh, thanks.
show. No matter like it could be an emotional scene and there's still like you want the best for Caroline at all times because she's just like she's so pure as a character. So
I'm so
how
glad.
did you go about like creating your version of Caroline? I know she's based off of an actual girl in the documentary.
Yes, yes. I
And did
love
you meet her?
she yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was texting her yesterday actually.
Oh,
We text almost on a daily basis now. I love her so much. Yeah, I kind of resisted on watching the documentary for the longest time, and then I finally gave in watching it after the first workshop because I got really curious. It's like, okay, I guess I have to watch. And I cried so much. Such a good documentary. But yeah, she is someone who just I said that she's like a goofball who's oozing with love, and that's exactly who she is. She her special interest is romance. She loves love so much. Even the first time I met her, one of her first questions to me was, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I said no. And then she said, "Do you want me to introduce you to a boy, a nice boy?" And then I'm like, "I
oh,
love you." And I'm the same way too. And I think what makes the process so fun and in a way kind of easy for all of us was Rebecca, our writer, was very open to creating the character with us. And yes, we're playing these roles that like inspired by the real people, but it's also our story. We're also like we are autistic playing autistic characters. So I think it's really important to write a piece of us in it so we all kind of help develop the character, and a lot of the little like what do you call it? Little spice.
like personalities.
Yeah, was like actually Amelia. Amelia loves Bridgerton. Amelia loves really dark side of the history.
Yes.
um yeah, like guillotine, tutors. I do genuinely love that. Yeah, and I think I relate a lot of the part where, you know, it's really hard for her to set boundaries. And I think we didn't really dive very deep into those parts, but it was kind of like sprinkled here and there, that her boyfriend is kind of like possessive but also more controlling. And I think it's really common, at least from my knowledge and my personal experience, to have like to attract or to often date people who has a stronger personality as an autistic person, because a lot of times I seek guidance from neurotypical people to navigate. And then sometimes I have a hard time deciding if this is a good thing or a bad thing or if this is right. I just trust because I don't know.
Process.
And yeah, so I
Learning.
think a lot of that, what she was dealing with in her relationship, I can relate. And even just like navigate, like, oh, a stranger wants to help me. I should I get in the car? Like stuff like that. Like it's hard to set boundaries when you have a hard time telling if this is a boundary or I'm being rude or
You want to trust.
yeah, you always want to trust and you always want to think And I think it's also very difficult for me to see things as like gray uh instead of just black and white.
Yes.
So I think for her, she always focusing on the good stuff, but so it's hard for her to see the bad stuff, but when she sees the bad stuff or potentially it could be bad, it's hard for her brain to be like, does that make this person a bad person? But he's trying to be nice to me, but is this good for me? Am I being
Like
bad? Am I being and then she just
questioning,
spirals.
just like questioning herself and being like, wait, well, maybe I'm being paranoid.
Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking this. And then, oh, but I should trust my guts because that's what my mom told me. But but what if I'm just being a mean person because he's clearly being so nice to me? And so, yeah, it's hard.
It's so real, honestly, because the amount of times during the day, during every day, that I'm like, well, I think I'm possibly overthinking this. Yeah. And then I'm like, no, maybe not actually. And it
Yeah,
goes back and forth.
I think most of the time, at least for me and for Madison too, I was talking to them yesterday about it, that we 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 have really strong intuition. We just need to learn how to trust it more.
Yes.
Because like 9 out of 10 times we're right in the first place, but we just didn't trust it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I have pretty good judgment of characters. So I bet you do too. And
yeah.
like
I think I
the,
do, but
yeah.
it's hard. And Caroline does too.
Yep.
She reads people really well, I think, but she also like, oh, but I don't know. We don't know yet. I'm gonna just assume they're nice people until they prove me otherwise. And then so and then they did. And then you're like, oh.
Yes. So what was the day that you made your Broadway debut like?
It was so emotional. It was the best day ever. It really, really, really was. We had oh, I wish you were there on closing night. It's kind of similar, but in a happier
I got the sense
circumstances.
that
What?
closing night, I got the sense when I was there that closing night was gonna be like a night to remember, because like so many people at that stage door that the night I went, or the afternoon I went, were like, I'm coming back for closing and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be like sold out. It's gonna be oversold if anything.
Yeah, I think because I didn't know we sell standing room tickets, but they told us even standing room were sold out. So that's really cool. Yeah, the our first preview, our Broadway debut, most of the people who were there were friends and family of the show. Um, and during the prologue, we got a standing ovation of I don't even know how long, and I immediately started crying. And I did the same thing on closing night too because we also got in a standing O, and then I started crying. But everyone's so supportive. You felt so much love from the audience, and it was so surreal because we yeah, it was like a long time leading to that moment, and I think you want to do everything right, but you also want to like bathe in the moment because you only had one Broadway debut in your entire life. So it was a lot. It was very overwhelming, but in the best way possible. And closing night was also, I think closing night felt a, even more magical than preview because the first preview was the people who knew the show was gonna be good, and but they also have involvement in the
Yeah.
show. But the closing night, there those people were back too, but also just fans who really really love the show, and everyone's like crying with us, and it's so bittersweet, and yeah, it's amazing, and the fans are so great. And some of the fans still like kept in touch with us and
Probably
on
fan
social
art.
media. Oh yeah, so many. I have a collage on my wall. You can't see it, but it's there. It's all fan arts.
And there's so many talented people who like draw and get interest, like fall in love with the show and want
I
to
know.
just make different interpretations of like fan art.
Yeah, and fan fiction.
Oh my gosh.
So many fan fiction. I'm not on Tumblr, but the castmates that are on will send me stuff that are like family friendly. I've been told there are like other stuff too, but they didn't send those to me.
Oh
But the
my God.
family friendly ones are really nice.
That's so funny. But that's I mean, you know you've made it when I which also like I have to say it's the coolest that your Broadway debut, you get to say it's a show in which you originated a character
I
and
know.
you created that character.
Yeah, it's
Which
it's it's insane.
also I saw a lot of cool people on from like Broadway legends, different movie stars came to see the show. Who was your favorite guest to get to meet at the show?
Oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda, hands down. I felt so embarrassed. I feel like I cried so much throughout this whole thing. I usually don't cry that much, but Ohio, I guess, just brought out all my emotions. Uh he stayed in the house to meet us, to say hi to us. And then the moment I saw him and he was just like, "Hi, I'm Lynn," and I my already tears shooting out of my eyeballs. I was
And
just
you're like,
like,
I know.
I was just he's such a sweet man and so humble for who he is and what he does. But I was just like thanking him for all the doors that he opened for people of color. And because I would never ever see myself playing a role who's not Asian in the first place. Because like the real Caroline's a blonde Caucasian woman, like if I honestly I don't know if Hamilton didn't exist, I don't know people would be open to,
After roles.
yeah, colorblind casting. And that is such a norm now these days, but it's truly because of Hamilton.
Yes. Did
Yeah.
you
And
direct him towards your cover of Burn?
oh,
'Cause
no, I would not. No, that's too much. But I was just thanking him and I cried and then he cried too. We cried together. Like who not a lot of people can say I cried with Lin Manuel Miranda. So that
Well,
was
I
really
think there's probably going to be another chance to cry with Lin-Manuel Miranda down the road because your cover of Burn from Hamilton. Yeah,
oh, thank
very
you.
good.
My the first tape I did for Ohio was actually Helpless from Hamilton. And yeah,
The stars
I
will align.
I I hope so. We don't know, but I just think it's so funny because first of all, it's always so hard for actors to pick materials when taping for a new show, because you know nothing of the plot, you know nothing of the character, you know nothing of the style of the music. They just say contemporary musical theater and do whatever you want. And then I was just like, okay, what is the song that feels the most like me personality wise, not even voice wise, because Helpless is so hard. I
Oh
don't know
my
why
God.
I picked that song, but I was just, you know what, Helpless, because I feel helpless most of the time when I try to navigate through life. And especially when it comes to boys romance, that's me. So I'm gonna do that song. So
That
I
that tracks actually with the character too.
yeah, it
So
all worked out. And I don't know, if anything, uh this is another story where, because people, you always hear this, like these success stories from actors. Oh, what is your tip auditioning? And they always say, oh, just be yourself. And it's such a cliche answer, but it's so true. Most of the time when I got a really good gig, it's always when I come in being me instead of trying to be someone who I think they want.
Yep. Because
So
most of the time it's like they're looking, they want the next person who comes in to be the solution to the cast and
yeah,
their casting.
I
So
think it's very much so in this case because I remember the first draft of the script back in 2021. They had no idea who any of these characters are yet.
they're like, we're gonna build these characters
Yeah.
based on the people that we cast in the show,
Yeah, it's so cool.
which
It
makes it
really is cool.
so special. I have to mention there's so many iconic lip song lyrics in How to Dance in Ohio. What is your favorite song lyric in the show and why?
The ones that I sing or
Anything, honestly.
I hmm oh there's so many. There's so many.
There
I
are.
think the funniest one is I for me is most murderers seem nice at first because it's so true.
True.
And I think the one that hit me the most is uh there are two. One is from Under Control, where Liam sings "Be the Poster Child." If he can, then you can. That hits me so hard. And the other one is Imani's song when they sing um, "Stop holding yourself to some ridiculous ideal." Uh, that's honestly the whole song. I
That
love
broke
that
me.
so much. Right?
I was
It's
like, I was not expecting to cry that much during that. Oh,
it's so good. Because
boy.
I think that it really is the whole like not whether you're neurotypical or neurodivergent, you always you with people these days give themselves so little grace.
Yep.
And I think with social media as well, you always see like influencer or people like, oh, do this, good vibes only, blah, blah, blah. And then you forgot that we're all just human. Of course, we're going to have ups and downs. Of course, you don't succeed. And then, sure, like someone got really famous, but what you don't see is all the like the hours and years that they work towards that. Even with influencers, I have a really good friend who was on Broadway and now she's like a full-time influencer and she looks like she lives like this fabulous life, but what you don't see is she has no day
Okay.
off. Like she goes to this restaurant and instead of just enjoying the food, she's like editing videos and taking videos, pictures, and then when she finished that, she goes home and like edit all the videos and then post it and then she needs to plan her next trip to do the same thing over and over and it's so much work, it's so stressful. So like so I think just know that it doesn't matter, like don't compare and be at peace with who you are and know that you are a work in progress forever and ever until you no longer exist on this earth. And yeah, just give yourself grace.
Yes. So I know a tour hasn't been announced for this show yet, but I want to ask if a tour gets announced. I don't want to spread any rumors, but if a tour gets announced, how would you convince people around the country to go see How to Dance in Ohio? Because I think it's really important, and I hope, crossing my fingers, that it tours so people across the United States can see it.
Yeah, I think yes, it is important, but also it's just a really good show. It's so funny. You'll come in, laugh so much that you cry, and then you're also gonna cry because there's so many moments that are just so beautiful. And I think if you want to see something that's so human and about stories stories about real people and how people navigate through life and making real connections. And if you want to come out of the theater feeling something,
What you
having a good time feeling something, but also have a lot of like uh what is the word? Provocative, no, provoking thoughts. What do you call
yeah,
it?
like thought, like a thought. It's a thought-provoking show. Yeah.
Yeah, like because I always like to come out of the theater thinking about things I never thought about before. And
Yes.
it like makes me curious about looking into things, whether it's about autism or about a a history that I didn't know, or like a fun fact that I didn't know before. I think that makes a good theater, is to encourage people to uh step out of their comfort zone and broaden your horizon and just learn new things, because it's fun. But yeah, it's a really good show, and you're gonna have a really good time.
Yes, and let's like manifest a tour because I can't. I need it to happen in like 20, like 2025, 26 season or some touring season or something.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I genuinely know nothing about it.
Yeah.
I hope so too. I know our producers are working so hard right now. I just went to their office to pick up our physical cast album. It looks so pretty.
Oh,
It's so cool. And even when I was there, the producers were all having meetings. They're like making phone calls left and right, and they're trying
they're
to make
working.
things happen. So yeah.
Oh yeah. They're like more people are like we're bringing this back in one way or another.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna like the show will have a life outside of Broadway, that I know for sure. But whether it's a tour or regional, that I don't.
Yeah.
But
I also
I'm not concerned that the show will be there.
it will live forever. But I also forgot like how cool is that you're on a cast recording?
I know, it's so cool.
It's
And
immortalized forever.
yes, and I have a solo. I remember I was so emotional in the booth because not only I get to be in a Broadway cast album, but I have a solo, and then my name is on it, and then now I got my CD. It has my face is on the CD.
You're
It's
like,
so
what is
crazy.
life?
Yeah, exactly. What is life? I think that's literally my inner thought every single day when I was on Broadway. What is my life? It's insane.
I have to ask before I wrap up the How to Dance in Ohio conversation. So, do you have any fun behind the scenes stories from working on the show with the cast? Because I'm sure you all had a blast backstage and stuff.
Yeah. Uh oh, so many. Like, do you want what do you want to know? Like mishaps or little stupid routines that we do every night, or
I would love to know like routines that you all did every night because I feel like, yeah, I feel like that would be interesting to know.
yeah, we um oh, there's so many. Whenever we during intermission that both oh, for some reason I my characters doesn't inter my character doesn't interact with Liam's character a bunch in the show. Almost never, honestly. But we always, for some reason, ended up either in the same wing or same side of the stage. So we started the show in the same wing for the prologue. We run out, and then we always like high five each other in the wing for forever until the cue light goes on, and then we have to run out, and we will just like say, "I love you, I believe in you, I love you," and then it was so wholesome, and then we run out together, and then during intermission, we both have to cross from stage right to stage left to start act two on the same side, and then he would always like hold my hand to cross the stage. He's like he's like the big brother in our cast.
Oh
even
my
though he
god.
even though he's not the oldest, but I think maybe he's the tallest, or he's a
It's
Leo. He
it's
just
that he's
gives
the
off,
tallest.
oh yeah, he's a giraffe. And then he just gives off big brother energy, and then he will like, come on, it's time to cross the stage. And I would just, okay. And then we cross the stage together, which is really cute. Um, and oh, during the in Act One, there's a song called How To, which I made pizza, and then the parents sing. And so on the kitchen unit, I don't even know if audience can see it, but we have fake cheese and a dough that is so dry every night, and we have to roll it out and for pizza. And
Workout.
we have just like fake food on the kitchen desk thing. And there are some nights I would just like pocket a lot of the fake cheese, and I will give it out to people on stage as a challenge. And
Okay, wait, that's great, actually.
it's really funny. And because sometimes we have to ad lib so much during the scene, because we're in the circle all the time, but we don't have lines, and we just kind of have to do stuff. And then some days I would just Liam would sit next to me and telling me how much he loves Meredith, and I would just give him cheese.
Oh my God, hey, you're contributing to the magic that is live theater when you do stuff like that because you're making it different every night. And people pay attention to what's different every night when they come see multiple
Yeah,
shows. Yeah.
for sure. I was so scared that people would notice I'm doing stupid stuff like that. But I think they didn't, so that's good. I would just like give, and I gave cheese to Cesar as well when he's trying to be a good doctor, and I just, here's some cheese for you. And then
Here's a
Haven and
reward.
yes, Haven and Darlicia also notice it, and then so they started to pocket cheese, and then they will give so much. They even gave fake peppers, which is so big, to Cesar one time on stage, and then he just had pockets of fake food. It was really fun.
Did you all like try to make each other break at any points during the run? Like
We
break
kind of
character?
we behaved ourselves a lot during previews, and I think shortly after we opened, like towards the end of December and early January, we started doing that. uh Liam would just say some really crazy stuff to me on stage, and I will like say stupid stuff to people. And and we try so hard not to. It's really fun.
Making it fresh and new.
Yeah, yeah, there. I Because I think we are not supposed, or not supposed, I guess that's not the right word, because you can, but I decided that Caroline is just oblivious about Drew has a crush on Meredith, so I'm not supposed to know. But Liam sometimes would just whenever Madison ran off stage, and then he would like, wait, don't go. And then he would just say, because his mic was off, but he would just say very out loud, like, no, I love you. No, please, please, I love you so much. And then I have to sit there like,
Don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh.
don't laugh, don't even acknowledge it. It doesn't, it just don't.
Ignore it.
Yeah, and then he knew what he's doing, so afterwards he would just look at me and see if I was laughing, and if I laughed, he would feel so good about himself.
I mean, of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
no,
It's
I said weird stuff for him to break too.
like this
um
goes both ways.
yeah.
Two
And
play this game.
another routine we like to do is whenever he did the did you call admission, and we would, there there's like a off stage cross space um in the back where the carpenter will control the turntable and all the cues, and he has like multiple screens back there. So we always, right after the scene, after Chevy Silverado, we will all go there, and then Liam will have to do his little thing, and then we'll all like, as if we're watching a TV show, and then we'll all gather there and see what he does, because he every night he did something a little different for the, like the second funny version of the email. every night is a little different, and then we'll just watch him, and then he will come back, and then we will like, good job, and then we all leave.
I mean, the entrance alone for like that part of the show we were talking about, just I was like, oh my God.
He just looks so drunk every time. It's really funny.
He looks like he's having a blast.
Oh yeah, he was. He was.
And it's like I've heard because I'm in LA, so there's a lot of like uh theater where it's like comedy and like parodies of stuff. I've heard that improving is one of the hardest skills to master, but also one of the most gratifying skills.
Yeah, I agree. It's really hard, but it's so fun.
Yeah,
And
that's what
he's very funny. I think we are all pretty funny. And then so whenever we had the opportunity to kind of showcase that in the show, it makes us really happy.
I mean, I think just you all bring so much personalities to these characters, and it's great to see on stage. You all
Oh
make these characters human.
yeah. And I think there's a lot to say about the chemistry too. I heard that from people a lot.
Yeah.
And I knew we had good chemistry, but I it was kind of like a I kind of took it for granted because we knew each other for like we know each other for over 2 years now. So we know each other so well, and at this point we're all family. And so when we're on stage, we're literally just having fun with our family.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel like, oh, it's anything special. We're just, this is what we do. We hang out and we do a little show together. But yeah, I heard a lot of people saying, oh, it looks like you're having so much fun and your chemistry is so great. And then I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of rare in theater, isn't it? And yeah, and it's really nice.
Yeah, it's definitely you can tell when the bond is good between actors behind the scenes. So I want to ask, let's manifest some dream roles on
Oh,
stage that you want to play.
yes. How many am I allowed to
As
list them?
many as you want.
There's so many. Well, any Skylar sister in Hamilton,
Yes.
but the one I really want to do is Peggy because I think it's just so fun that you get to be silly in Act One, but sexy in Act Two.
True.
That sounds really fun. What else? Eurydice. But to be honest, I really want to be Persephone, but everyone's saying I'm too young for that for now.
Hey, but you can age into it. Like there's
Yeah, but I
wait.
want to do it now.
You're like, no now.
Yeah, but Eurydice and Persephone, Dot from Sunday in the Park with George, uh, Natasha, or Helene in Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
Um, I love Amber Gray and Philippa Sue in case you didn't see the pattern. Um,
all iconic people, all great people to love.
so good. What else? Dawn and Waitress, but I don't know if that can happen anymore. Maybe it still can.
You know what? I could see it. I could see it.
Uh, what else? These are the main big ones.
I feel like with Waitress is always gonna come back in at one point or another.
Yeah, I think they just released the license because I started seeing a lot of regional theaters started doing Waitress, and then I was like, oh yeah, they can do that now. Because
Yeah,
yeah, the tour has been out for a little bit, so yeah, maybe we'll see.
we'll love it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think those are the big ones so far. I used to want to be Christine in Phantom because
Yeah.
um but I can't sing that.
I mean, every time I listen to someone sing that high, I'm like, oh my God, my vocal cord.
I know, it's so beautiful, but also are you even human? So
Right. Like what?
yeah, I make peace with the fact that I'm not actually a soprano, and that's okay.
Hey, you can still sing those songs and make them like different.
Yeah,
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 there's
but
ways to
not
arrange
AMDA.
them
I
differently.
need I need Christine to just sing like that because
Yeah,
it's
there's
yeah, I think that someone told me I will make a good uh uh what's her name? Uh Nessa in Wicked,
gross.
but I don't know. I don't know. I only saw Wicked once, so I don't have like a really strong feelings towards which role
I
suits
could
me
see it.
better.
I could see it as someone who's seen Wicked a lot.
It's a good show. I
Could
understand the appeal. It took me. It's one of those shows I'm like, it's gonna be there. I'm not in
right.
a hurry to see it, and then I never saw it until last year, and that was my first time seeing it, and I cried, and then I was like, I understand why people got into theater because of the show. It's so good.
Who did you see as Alphaba in the show?
I don't remember.
I feel like you were on the cusp of like Talia and Lindsay.
It's not Talia that I know. So maybe
Yeah,
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. I know it's not Talia.
Who?
I think it was the same alphabet, but a new Glinda or something like that. Because I remember going in and then someone new just became Glinda. I think it's the two people who were on Frozen tour together.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Alyssa and Mackenzie.
Okay, I trust you. I don't remember.
Probably. I'm a Frozen gal too. So
I feel so bad. What if they watch this episode and they're like, this woman.
no. Girl, you just did a Broadway show. Like, come on.
This
Like,
woman, she doesn't even know who we are, the audacity.
no, you've been doing your own stuff. Like, and hey, you have plenty of fandom knowledge to go around.
Okay.
So
I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I swear. I'm sorry. Yeah, I went there. I think I was just very overwhelmed by the whole thing, and I didn't really. But sometimes I just see shows that way. I don't really focus on who they are. I just like appreciate the show as a whole. And unless they're, I don't know. Yeah, but I also like to research people sometimes. So anyway, that's on me. That's on me. I'll look it up.
when you see someone flying at the end of Act One, it's easy to be overwhelmed.
Yes.
And be like, oh wow,
There's
this
so
is
much going
magical.
on. And that
Yes.
theater is gigantic. It's
It
insane.
is. And there's no cell phone reception.
Oh, that is true. I remember that. Ew, so good.
I
Wow.
work, I've done social media for the Arts for Autism concert 2 years in a row there.
Oh,
And
nice.
which gotta talk about like getting you involved this year. But it is so hard when there's no cell phone reception to do social media.
Yeah. Well, do you have to like live stream it or like post constantly
So I
in
kind
the
of like
theater?
uh do like boomerangs and stuff, and I'm not allowed to live stream it because you're not allowed to like film during the actual concert
Yeah.
at the theater. Um, and you're really not supposed to videotape what's happening on the stage there. So it's kind of tricky, but it's a lot of like pictures and boomerangs and behind the scenes from the rehearsal. And then they have like a little step and repeat that they bring out and
Gotcha, gotcha,
have
gotcha.
everyone pose there so I can do social media with that. But it's really fun and it's a cool great event. It has so much support, which
Oh,
is
yay.
really cool. And like a ton of high school kids making their Broadway debut every year.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so cool.
Essentially, yeah, because it's like a ton of high schools from like all over the United States, and they step onto stage and get to perform with their groups.
Oh, nice. I did something similar for the Schubert because they have a high school theater festival every year. So it's kind of like that, but it's only, I think it's only the schools in New York, only the high schools in New York, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I was invited there last year to uh, be one of the like the Broadway
Yeah,
bed, even though I didn't make my Broadway debut yet. So uh, everyone saw me and they were very confused, but it was so cool. I gave like speech to people on stage in the theater where they are doing Some Like It Hot, I think. Um
that sounds
it,
correct.
it was so cool. And they also made their Broadway debut. And they have like little playbills with their names on it. It's cool.
Oh my God, it's the cutest thing. And then I do like social media after the concert, and it's a bunch of crying teenagers. And I'm like, oh, this makes my heart so happy.
And then they like high five each other and
Oh my God. It's
I love
impossible to not have fun in those environments.
I know that this is why this is my favorite thing about theater. I think the community is just so great and everyone's so supportive. And they just like even when we did the Macy's parade and we share the trailers with so many other Broadway shows like Shuck was there, Spamalot was there, Back to the Future was there, and they're all so sweet. They're all like, "Welcome to Broadway. We're so happy to have you. You're part of the family now." And then, because I think we did I think Spamalot performed first and then followed by us. And then when they like left, we all
Okay.
like high five each other. It feels like it's the same vibe as the high
Yeah.
schoolers. Like they're just like in the wings and like good job, and then they all cried and we all hugged. It's so nice. And
Oh,
then when we are done, Back to the Future went on, and then we high fived them, and it was so cool.
well, it's like I feel like it's a bucket list experience to do that parade. It's such a huge parade, and everyone watches it nationally. So you're like, my friends and family are watching at home.
It was so funny because I told my parents about it, but they had no idea what it was. Again, no shame. It's just how it is. So they completely missed it. But but my dad's coworker in Texas who has no idea that I'm on Broadway, has no idea I'm doing this parade, accidentally saw me on TV and then took a picture and messaged me like, "Is that you?" And I said, "Yeah." And then he texted to my dad, and that's how my dad found out about what I was talking about when I said parade.
You're like, it's just an iconic parade that happens every year around November.
They thought that we're doing a full show outdoor, and then afterwards we like parade the street and we wave at people.
Uh, you know what? That would be a concept.
I mean, they're floats. I can get on a float and wave. I think that will be really cool.
That would be a concept in 20-degree weather.
I know. Oh, it was so cold. I was really hoping that because when they made the announcement and then when they are like, "Oh, we're gonna do this," I was so relieved because I was, oh, thank God, our show takes place in Ohio. I'll be in sweater, and then of course
Nope.
we're doing the finale and
Nope.
out of cutouts, and I was so cold, but it
No
was so fun.
such luck. You're like, gotta not turn like blue on national television.
And then I look at like Cesar, Liam, Carlos, all the men in suits, and I'm so jealous.
Oh my
They're
God.
so warm.
It's not fair.
It
It's
really isn't.
honestly not fair that like if it's like a fancy occasion, men get to be warm and we are expected to wear dresses.
I know. I know it really isn't fair,
Like,
but
come
I also
on.
like dresses, so I can't complain.
No, I mean, an excuse to dress up is always the best.
Exactly.
So before I wrap up, I want to ask, what is something that you wish that more people knew about autism?
Uh, I think just the fact that it can look so different in different people. Like it's not just the stereotypical white boy who loves train and who happens to be a genius and who like talks in a very monotone and who has no emotion. Also, even if that's the case, they have emotions. They
Yes.
just have a different way to express themselves. So don't. But yeah, just like know that autism can look so differently, and when you have a friend who trusts you enough, who's courageous enough to tell you that, hey, I'm autistic, you should never tell them, but you don't look autistic, as if it's a compliment. Because I hate that so much. Just be like, oh, cool. I didn't know that. Thank you for just like this, like, period. I have
Right.
people who I know for years. And then after they found out that I booked the show, and after that they found out, oh, we're all autistic, start talking to me in a baby tone, and they start to talk slower. And I'm just, you, we know each other for years.
You're like,
I'm
I
just saying,
understand.
and also, why are you doing this? I'm autistic, and but I don't, I why is that your reaction? Why that's not even an autistic, like, I don't know. It was just so strange. And I think that that is one of the many reasons why a lot of people who had the luxury to know how to mask and mask really well decide not to tell people they're autistic because of stupid things like that, like
Yep.
people's, you know, the stigma and people just making silly assumption because they don't know enough about autism. And yeah, just I I I babble. I don't know if I answer your question.
No, absolutely. Because I mean, people really don't, I feel like the knowledge is very slim out there unless someone has a family member who is autistic, um, when it comes to autism. So people don't really know.
Yeah,
The "you don't look autistic" thing is just oh my God.
so
Face
annoying.
palm.
And for the longest time, I think that's also why a lot of like female presenting autistic individual refuse to
Thing.
uh, ask for help or getting late diagnosis or misdiagnosed, because there's this internalized ableism and also a sense of, oh, I'm not autistic enough, or I don't look autistic, and hence I don't deserve to ask for help or to be helped. And when I am facing some challenges or difficulties in life, I should just get over it because I don't look autistic. And
Yeah,
it's
I don't know if you've experienced this, but I remember my mom put me in like my first like group uh kind of like session with other autistic kids, and there were no females. I was
oh,
the
I'm
only
not
one.
surprised.
I was like, what? Wait, where are the other girls?
Yeah, yeah. I grew up in a culture where people don't believe in autism in women. They just don't think that's a thing.
Again,
Like,
face palm.
yeah, when I was being told that I'm autistic, the person literally said, "But you're a woman, you should be fine." Because it's not a thing. I'm just
You're you're like, so you're insinuating that women confirmed are better than men. I'm kidding.
sure, but no, I'm just like, okay, so what should I do next? And should I, okay.
Yeah, you're like, this is a weird way of, this is a
So
weird.
I am autistic, but also that's not real. And so should I ask for help? But I don't need help because that's not a thing. So am I just,
It's just like a circle of like,
yeah, like, what are you trying to tell me here? I don't understand. And then so I just never talk about it again. And I never went to a therapy group. I never went to a program or like a special class for autistic children. Like I never had that growing up because I guess it's not a thing. um,
so
yeah,
the stigma is so odd, honestly.
yeah. I can feel it's getting better though. I hope at least because I am not I'm not oblivious to the fact that I work in an environment where it kind of feels like a bubble. So even though I'm like meeting all these autistic people, I'm like talking about autism and people seem to be caring so much about the subject. I know the world is still not there yet, probably, but I'm kind of under the impression that it's slowly getting better, that
Yep.
people are more aware of what's going on and they're more willing to talk about it. And I think, yeah, I think that's a good thing. And I hope that's the case anyway.
Yes, I feel, yep, yep. I feel like it is the case for sure. So, where can people follow you on social media to keep up with what you're doing and
Oh,
anything live?
is this plug time?
Yes.
I'm on Instagram, Amelia underscore Bedelia Fei, because Amelia Bedelia is definitely autistic. And I'm also on TikTok. I think my handler is Bedelia Fei, but I could be wrong. Uh, yeah, that's it. I have a website, ameliafei.com. I update all my news there, but I'm on Instagram more.
Oh my God, your website is so cute too. The flowers.
Oh, thank you. My influencer friend made it for me. She's so talented.
Oh my
Her
God, it's like it also exudes happiness. So I
she
was like,
literally when I design every website based on the person, and I don't know, this just feels like you. And then I'm just, you're not wrong. And then I love it.
you're like, okay, I approve.
Yeah,
So,
it's so good.
do you have anything else that you want to promote? Or like it can be anything, theater related or not.
Not at the moment. I'm kind of like we're discussing some uh projects at the moment, but none of them are like confirmed yet. So I for now I can't really say anything. uh because I don't want to put information out there and then it end up not happening. Um but yeah, follow me. I post fun stuff.
Yes. Like follow for news, follow for anything in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been awesome talking to you, and I'm so glad we got to have this conversation today. Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.